Mr. Wade, we've seen here in Bermuda in the last 2 weeks or so a number of civil disturbances. What's the reason behind them and how have they been handled?
Well, the disturbances we've seen here resulted from the frustrations brought on by the colonialism. And we've seen young people who feel frustrated and trapped in the society reacting. The reaction from the government has largely been one of police action, police with in riot gear, tear gas, go in and arrest everybody on sight and take the people away and put them into prisons. This has been the reaction by government. This is not the first disturbance we've had. We had one in 68, and we saw the same kind of action. There was a commission in 1968 to look into what caused the disturbances, and the recommendations were made by this commission, and yet we have not seen any results from government, any action from government in attempts to rectify some of the ills in the community. And we expect that this will go on in this country because we are a colony, and if you know the history of other colonies, this is a normal type of traditional way the colonies are gotten rid of. You have reaction from the people against the establishment and the colonial metropolitan masters.
I understand you yourself were arrested during the disturbances.
Well, I don't want to discuss the arrest. It's still sub judice, and it will be coming up in the Supreme Court sometime this month.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take a picture of the two of you. And
Okay, rolling.
Mr. Hudson, Prince Charles is due here in Bermuda on Tuesday, and his visit will be boycotted by the opposition parties. Why?
Well, in the first place, he doesn't come as a guest to our country. He comes as our future ruler. And we are, of course, opposed to colonialism in all its forms, in particular as it applies to Bermuda. We believe that colonialism is a rotten phase of human history. In particular, Bermuda, of course, where we're operating as a political party. And we feel that this is a design on the part of government to force Britain down our throats. And of course, he also represents the embodiment of British colonial policy, even as it is exercised in other parts of the world. Of course, the highlight points are Rhodesia. He won't go there. South African arms deal. This is all wrapped up with British colonialism, which we find very repugnant. It's expressed in other areas of the Caribbean. We saw what happened in Anguilla and British attitude there. And we simply feel that it would be unwise for us to participate in functions where he's going to be present because our people would not understand what we're doing, even if we told them that it was no personal disrespect to the prince himself as an individual. We're not very concerned about that at all, but our people wouldn't understand it. They understand that colonialism is a bad thing, and they know that he is the prince to sit on the British throne to carry out, to perpetuate this colonial system.
Do you think the protest against the prince's visit will take on a more, shall we say, violent tone than just a simple boycott?
Point. My own guess is that it won't, but you can't guess about such emotional reactions in a colonial territory.
Now, the present disturbances you've been having here in Bermuda have been blamed in part on the opposition party. Do you go along with this, or is it just a thing of government attempt to put the party down?
Well, I think it represents the ignorance on the part of government. As a matter of fact, government, I'm sure, must know that it was the Progressive Labour Party's deliberate policy, having warned the government about the attitudes of people and how unrest was in the minds of people. We warned them that this sort of thing would be taking place. And in order to avoid any blame to our own party, we have deliberately kept absolutely quiet throughout the entire summer. We've said hardly a word. We've made hardly a speech. And for them to now blame the disturbances on us, I think it represents more than anything else the complete reactionary attitudes of themselves and their determination not to change any of their policies, but simply to blame any failures in the country on somebody else. And of course, since we're a contenders for political office, we happen to be the nearest target for them.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hudson, the Prince is due to deliver the speech from the throne at the opening of Parliament. Will the opposition party be in attendance?
No, we won't. We're not going to be anywhere the Prince is going to be. That won't affect the proceedings of Parliament at all. They'll print up copies of the speech and make sure everybody, gets it. It'll be the usual thing, I anticipate, with lots of promises, and we'll debate it, and that'll be the end of it. It'll be shelved and forgotten.
Thank you very much.